Red Mars. It was transfixing, mesmerizing. Everyone felt it. Potatoes only grow in desolation. It's right next to barren. They spent long hours working, and at last it was real work. The ship had to be partly disassembled. The main body would be eventually parked in orbit near Phobos and used as an emergency return vehicle. But 20 tanks from the outer lengths of the hub shaft had only to be disconnected from the Ares and prepped to become planetary landing vehicles, which would take the colonists down in groups of 5. The first lander was scheduled to descend as soon as it was decoupled and prepped. So they worked in round-the-clock shifts, spending a lot of time in EVA, extravehicular activity, which means outside the spaceship. Spending a lot of time in EVA, they pulled into the dining halls, tired and ravenous. They pulled into the dining halls. Yes, you're right. They pulled into the dining halls tired and ravenous, and conversations were loud. The ennui of the voyage seemed forgotten. One night, Maya floated in the bathroom, getting ready for bread, getting ready for bed. Feeling stiffened muscles that she hadn't heard from in months. Maya floated in the bathroom, getting ready for bed, feeling stiffened muscles that she hadn't heard from in months. Around her, Nadia and Sasha and Yeli, I've never met this person in my life, and Yeli Zudov. I'm gonna call him Yeli. old Yeller. Nadia and Sasha and Yeli Zudov were chattering away. And in the warm wash of voluble Russian, it suddenly occurred to her that everyone was happy. They were in the last moment of their anticipation. An anticipation that had lain in their hearts for half a lifetime, or ever since childhood. And now suddenly it had bloomed below them like a child's crayon drawing of Mars, growing huge, then small, huge, then small. And as it yo-yoed back and forth, it loomed before them in all its immense potential. Tabula rasa. Blank slate. A blank, red slate. Anything was possible. Anything could happen. In that sense, they were, in just the last few days, perfectly free. Free of the past, free of the future. Weightless in their own warm air, floating like spirits, about to invest in a material world. In the mirror, Maya caught sight of the toothbrush-distorted grin on her face and grabbed a railing to hold her position. It occurred to her that they might never be so happy again. Beauty was the promise of happiness, not happiness itself. And the anticipated world was often more rich than anything real. But this time, who could say? This time might be the golden one at last. She released the railing and spit toothpaste into a wastewater bag, then floated backwards into the hallway. Come what may, they had reached their goal. They had earned at least the chance to try. Oh, we're almost to part 3. All right, we're going to at least read to part 3. She released the railing and spit toothpaste into a wastewater bag, then floated backwards into the hallway. Come what may, they had reached their goal. They had earned at least the chance to try. Disassembling the Aries made a lot of them feel old. Or odd. I thought it said old. I read it like 3 times before I read it out loud. I thought it said old. Well, disassembling the Aries made a lot of them feel odd. That makes sense. It was, as John remarked, like dismantling a town and flinging the houses in different directions. And this was the only town they had. Under the giant eye of Mars, all their disagreements became taut. Clearly, it was critical now. There was little time left. People argued, in the open or under the surface. So many little groups now, keeping their own counsel. What had happened to the brief moment of happiness? Maya blamed it mostly on Arcady. He had opened Pandora's box. If not for him and his talk, would the farm group have drawn so close around Hiroko? Would the medical team have kept such close counsel? She didn't think so. She and Frank worked hard to reconcile differences and forge a consensus, to give them the feeling they were still a single team. It involved long conferences with Phyllis and Arcady, Anne and Sachs, Houston and Bachner. In the process, a relationship developed between the two leaders that was even more complex than their early encounters in the park. Though that was part of it. Maya saw now, in Frank's occasional flashes of sarcasm and resentment, that he had been bothered by the incident more than she had thought at the time. But there was nothing more to be done about it now. In the end, the Phobos mission was indeed given to Arcady and his friends, mainly because nobody else wanted it. Everyone was promised a spot on the geological survey if they wanted one. And Phyllis and Mary and the rest of the Houston crowd were given assurances that the construction of the base camp would go according to the plans made in Houston. They intended to work at the base to see that it happened that way. Fine, fine, Frank snarled at the end of one of these meetings. We're all going to be on Mars. Do we really have to fight like this over what we're going to do there? That's life, Arcady said cheerfully. On Mars or not, life goes on. Frank's jaw was clenched. I came here to get away from this kind of thing. Arkady shook his head. You certainly did not. This is your life, Frank. What would you do without it? I love Arkady so much. All hail Arkady, king of Phobos.